welcome back to Pro-Am race day here on Galway Bay, and this is one of the famous Galway hookers. Absolutely gorgeous looking craft. Raced around here, one of the really distinguishing features of sailing in Galway. Their signature yacht, if you like. I personally find this the most beautiful sight. It's once upon a time it was state-of-the-art, just like those boats in the background are, and it's just an exquisite thing to look at. Jerry Kirby, you're out there looking at this. What's your view on this little column seal, I think it's called? Haven't got Jerry there with us at the moment. All right, well, I'll offer my fellow commentator in the commentary box here, Peter Lester. How do you like the lines of this? Once upon a time, this was state-of-the-art, and they're still highly competitive little boats raced around here. The gaff rig. Would you like to offer a comment on the lines of this boat?
Martin, you know what I'm going to say, and I feel as though I wasn't going to get the throw, and it was only that you, Jerry, wouldn't comment. But the most modern thing about that whole boat was the outboard on the back. But a glorious look, a Galway hooker. I assume they were used as a little fishing dory.
Yeah.
And now there's a fleet of them that they race around the bay.
And we've around the world we've seen this, haven't we? Jerry, were you having a look at that pretty little boat? What did you think of it?
I don't think I'd want to go around the world in it, but they look like they're having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about where we've been around the world, look at Abu Dhabi with the dhows and what have you, that we've seen some lovely traditional craft still being raced. There she is, there's another one out there. That gaff rig, very distinctive, and normally with a red sail rather than a dark sail like that. So we're, what are we, 2:56 away from the start of race 3 in this little Pro-Am series here on Galway Bay, which is serving as a curtain raiser for the very final race of the Volvo Ocean Race, the import race tomorrow. A lot hinging on that, and this is comparatively a relaxed phase, this form of racing, giving people who've not experienced the thrill of a Volvo Ocean Race that fantastic experience. So this is the Discover Island import race that we're having tomorrow, and here's Discover Island with a little Galway hooker, and it's just a gorgeous little, well, I mean, I just think that they look the business. I think if I'm right about this, I'm not quite, I think, was the whole canvas, is it some?
Well, we looked at a little boat.
We looked at one in there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Corrected. I think it was like a canvas on a canvas of some kind on a lovely framework inside. When we were looking at one up on the down in the quay yesterday, and they do get along at a fairly brisk pace. So 1:38 at the start. What I can tell you is that at the moment the standings for this, was we're looking at the committee boat there and the breeze blowing nice and strong. In the standings after 2 races, this little Pro-Am series, Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand lead, followed by Puma Ocean Racing powered by Berg, then Groupama, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, Sanya, and Telefonica. But this is a little bit of action coming up now. Jerry, the conditions at this stage?
There's really solid pressure across the course, so this race will be, once again, you know, guy with his bow out at the start doesn't get rolled by the boats above. We'll own it.
Reaching start, the boats will come in. They're committed now. All the boats are on starboard, and Jerry nailed it. Whoever gets bow forward off the line, and if you're the leeward boat, you don't want to get rolled. The windward boat, you want to roll, the boat's the leeward. There's Kenny Reid looking down towards Camper. We can see, I would think Camper run the risk of being late when we cut away. So there's Puma, Sanya. It's coming up to 20 seconds to go. It's about this utilisation of time on distance. See Kenny Reid there looking back down at Camper. Camper are going to be late. Telefonica up to windward. They're going to be in quite good shape. So coming up to the line, and there's a bow coming forward there of Abu Dhabi. So off the line, it's going to be, look at it, and Abu Dhabi are the boat with a roll on. Abu Dhabi are going to shoot off this line in good position.
Recall.
So is it?
Sanya and Telefonica.
Yeah, individual recalls. Sanya and Telefonica are over the line, and Abu Dhabi have got it right on the button. So what we'd expect to see here is Sanya and Telefonica. They will need to return. Now, whether it's just a kiss and giggles race, they might just elect to give their guests on board racing experience, but if they do not return, Martin, they will be scored did not finish.
So they're not coming back by the look of it, and this is an element of fun in this, obviously. So more important, I think, to just enjoy the race.
Yeah, well,
spirit.
I can understand the skippers actually, and maybe in this sort of race, electing to not go back, I guess. It's certainly the etiquette in the sport's a bit like golf, Martin, you know. The etiquette is actually to go back and do the right thing. But the two boats that have jumped the gun, so they're premature starters, they will be scored DNF.
DNF.
And
Jerry looked fairly. Well, we're going to have a replay first before I bring you in here. We'll just see it looked fairly clear to us that there were a couple over. And how interesting to see what you were saying, Pete, about, you know, you've got to be about forward, and how slow Camper were, and you just get spat out the back.
Yep, time on distance. It's all about time on distance. So we'll look at Sanya. So the technical term is OCS, actually, on course side of the line. And that's how they will be scored. And the penalty for that will be they won't be scored. So Sanya and Telefonica are continuing on, but they were on what we call OCS, on course side of the line. So they'll be out of it. And then Abu Dhabi and Puma are the two boats that will be looking here to dominate heading into Mark 1.
Guests
Gee,
on
those,
board, guests driving.
The old reaching starts are pretty tricky for, even though this is a bit of a fun race, you can see that once the crews decide to go for the speed build mode, it's very difficult. Other graphic example here again, you can see how quickly Camper, who were always late for the line, have been blown off the back in that turbulent wind coming off the sails of the leading boats.
Jerry, give us some sense of what the conditions are like down there, because it's a kind of mixture of fairly shiny. Go, Jerry.
Yeah, the pressure's really steady across the whole course. So, you know, right now the big thing Puma's got to avoid is getting rolled by Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi's in a great position right now, and if they keep getting over Puma's bow, she'll go out the back with the other boats.
Amazing how they do get just dropped right out of the frame. Now I think we can go to a replay of that start, which will give us an indication of just how far advanced the boats were. Well,
so the line is from the orange flag down to the pin. As we can see, especially the bow of Sanya is a long way forward, and Telefonica. As the gun went, they're the two bows that were over the line. My word, Abu Dhabi must have been close as well. I wonder if they were covered up. Yeah. Jerry, we've just had a replay of that start, and for sure Telefonica and Sanya were bow forward, but Abu Dhabi must have been within inches.
Yeah, but Abu Dhabi had their bow down, and they wound up with speed right at the end. So it was a really nice speed build coming up to the line.
This is the winner of the Volvo Ocean Race 2011-2012, Group Armour. And I have to say, the mood on this boat this morning when we were down dockside was ebullient, and absolutely understandably the case.
Abu Dhabi are going to be first round here, Martin, and we can see Puma, who went off the line, but it was Abu Dhabi who accelerated off the line. They've blown over the top of Puma. So we've got Puma to windward Sanya. Now remember, Sanya and Telefonica were over the line at the start. They elected not to return. They will not receive any points for this race. They'll be scored DNF. So Abu Dhabi are in fact leading. And put that down to that it was a pretty nice start, Martin. They came up to the line in the last 10 seconds. Abu Dhabi were right up to speed. Ian Walker, he's shown actually through the Volvo Ocean Race in the import races to be pretty good at these inshore. Good feel for a start line. Abu Dhabi, Sanya, Telefonica. The boat that'll actually be second, though, will be either Groupama or Puma, because unfortunately Sanya and Telefonica were recalled. They were over early, but they didn't return.
We often see these practice races, these pro-am races being used as practice. We do it certainly to make sure that we've got all bits and pieces working properly, ready for the real thing tomorrow. But we have seen in the past that they've used, when they've been over in these practice races, they've used the turn as use the opportunity to get a practice for do their penalty turn or go back, whatever they need to do. So this is Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, and they're flying in first place in this third Pro-Am race, and they're followed by Sanya, who aren't in it, and Telefonica, who will also get a DNF. So that puts well, it's going to be Groupama, isn't it? Then Puma, Camper bringing up the rear. And I guess if Camper's going to learn anything out of this, they're going to have to be right on the button tomorrow if they're going to have a chance of coming away with the overall series title, which they're currently sharing on 39 points with Puma Ocean Racing, powered by Berg. Groupama on 38 points, Abu Dhabi on 35. Abu Dhabi having won a couple of these of the import races. So there's still a lot to fight for tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in more detail later. And Jerry Kirby with your boy Rome on Puma, have they been talking about trying to get at least something in the way of a trophy with that import series?
They haven't mentioned much about the import series. I know that Kenny's a hardcore competitor, as they all are, and mostly they talked about what didn't happen on the big race.
What didn't happen on the big race for Puma was a continuation of their resurgence after recovering from a broken mast on leg one. They certainly battled right back into contention and then just slipped away again for doubtless a complete variety of reasons. Chris Nicholson's at the helm of Camper as they stare with that not great view of all the fleet in front of them. But these guys, Pete, they're really wanting to have a go, really will be determined to get into this series.
Well, tomorrow's going to be fascinating with that group of boats that can win the import accolade from the Volvo Ocean Race. But Abu Dhabi ahead of Sanya. They're heading down now to Mark II. See them coming round quite close to those spectator boats. That'll give them a good view.
Nice view for them.
Just noted on that first leg, Martin, it was Groupama that also rolled Puma. Gee, when once a boat gets rolled and they get in that turbulent wind, these things are so high performance.
Hard to come back.
They just get blown out the back as we look at Abu Dhabi enjoying the benefits of a beautiful start by Ian Walker.
Azam, they call this boat, which is Arabic for determined. And I guess that's what they have been over the last 9 months. And they've had their little bursts of glory, which will have pleased the sponsors no end. They won in the import race in Alicante, they won in Abu Dhabi, then they sailed a quite brilliant transatlantic leg through all kinds of conditions to notch up an ocean leg win. In fact, all the boats bar Sanya have enjoyed at least one ocean leg win, which shows how close this race can be.
Martin,
Yes.
just to remind the viewers, Sanya and Telefonica will be scored OCS on course side of the line. They were both over the line at the beginning of the race. although they're placed, second and third on the water, they will not be scored. They elected to just carry on. So when we look at the graphic, we look at the virtual.
Extraordinarily different angles there, Peter.
Boats trying to keep their air clear. Conditions, it's just a two-sail reaching race to give the VIPs on board a bit of a taste of what it's like. So it'll be Group Armour that are actually second when we score this one.
Yeah, the girl there, I think we're going to get a bit of a wave from her. I know she's disappeared. Well, that is a sailing legend in her own right, Dee Kafari, round the world sailor. I think is she about to go again on another Vendée Globe? I'm not sure. But she's very, very experienced, taken herself round the world on a number of different craft, if I remember rightly. Sort of purpose-built single-handers, but also one of the round the world the wrong way race. One of those big solid steel boats. Yeah, the first woman to sail non-stop, single-handed around the world in both directions. So that is something. And I remember reading about her trials and tribulations, particularly on going on the wrong way around the world. Quite extraordinary experience. And talk about stamina and and able to cope with adversity. That was sure lessons. That's Dee Kafari.
Bit of action going on here, Martin. Abu Dhabi are leading, and we can see Group Armour now just coming up to windward to try and get around Sanya.
An indication of the racing being taken seriously here, with all the guests being installed in the bow,
just to try and
get the stern out.
Yeah, cut down that wetted surface. Of course, those big full stern sections of these boats in a breeze and two-sail reaching is pretty powerful, but it's a bit draggy in the light winds when you're dragging that big transom round. So Abu Dhabi are leading this one, and we can see it looks like Group Armour may well have got round Sanya. The green boat.
The green machine. The green boat, it was called by the guys, by Kenny Reid on Puma, and that's sort of a demystifying psychological technique.
Well, that didn't work.
Didn't work at all. Jerry, where are you?
We're right off of Camper's Transom.
Right at the back there, where you've got a good view of all the boats in front.
Yep. You're talking about Dee Kafari. She's pretty impressive female sailor.
Yeah. That's that round the world the wrong way. I don't understand it personally. I think it must be bashing your head against a very hard brick wall for a very long time. But full credit to all those who've done it. It was an invention of the round the world sailor Che Blythe. He invented that race. He's one tough dude. There's no doubt about that. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, it looks a bit quiet at the moment, Jerry.
Yeah, the breeze is just starting to go away, but I don't think one thing that is impressive is Group Armour's speed. You know, they just came right out of the hole, back over Sanya, and it looks like they'll end up in second.
Amazing the way that boat accelerates, that Group Armour. But we're on now with Ian Walker, who is swinging the wheels around, and we've still got a fair turn of speed on us. A little battle goes on between Group Armour and Sanya behind them. Sanya not in the race because over the line at the start.
What'll be interesting to see there if Group Armour can get in, on Telefonica. Yes, they can. So Group Armour have jumped up the on-the-water leaderboard. Of course, the boat that they have just passed, Sanya, were over the line at the start, on course side of the line at the start. That's what will show on their score sheet at the end of this one, as Group Armour comes around the mark. And this turn will certainly wash off a lot of the momentum they've got. They had to come into that marker quite deep. So Group Armour comes round. Mike Sanderson brings Sanya round. And then we will look back who's going to be next in there. There's Puma and Camper. The angle coming back, Martin's a bit deeper. That's why the boats look to be quite eased on the Genoa. They are not using Genicas or any of the furled sails on this Pro-Am day.
Lovely images from the water. Would either be Neil Pockeiter or Shane Smart. Not sure who's Neil Pockeiter on that rib. Having a reasonably comfortable day today, not bouncing around too much. It's normally pretty hard work for them out there.
So this is Mark II and Camper trail the fleet. As they come round, see the angle back to that top mark's a bit tighter, and Puma have just tacked in front of Camper, and Camper is going to go on the windward side or cross sides on Puma to make sure they're in clear air for the leg up to Mark III, and then they'll come round the mark and then back down to the finish. So Camper comes through and they tack. You can see there, Martin, the vents for the water ballasting in the back end of Camper. We do carry water ballast in the offshore legs. So we look up the course, and the boat in the lead, Abu Dhabi, they got a good lead there. And then we come back to Group Armour. Telefonica attacked. Looks like they took the left-hand gate.
Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing now heading for the finish. You can see the guests there standing on the platform. Another leg yet? No, we've got another leg yet, we're hearing. Okay, so as I was saying, you can see just there's a platform that keeps the helmsman level, and you can just see him standing on that platform, the guest, with Ian Walker advising us when to go left a bit, right a bit. Gorgeous shot from the chopper.
Yeah, just looking through the sail plan, you can see the Genoa is just a little bit eased. 4-spreader rig.
So we're on board now. This is the stern camera. That man just walking across your picture, I think, is Nick Dana, who is the media crew member. Yep, going to get out his camera to record man at wheel for posterity. And you get a huge mixture of people on these Pro-Am races, and we talk about the bragging rights where the winners and losers are concerned, but really it's all about people having an amazing experience.
And now we come to Group Armour, looking again through this rig, Martin. And this one, 3-spreaders. So there's the slight difference in design philosophy. We looked at Abu Dhabi with 4-spreader rig. This is a 3-spreader rig on the race winner. This just means that the spar section will be a little bit heavier, so it'll just support the rig a little bit easier. Martin, I'm getting plenty of verbal in my ear from our director. I think the best he ever sailed was a no-spreader rig. Probably on a lake. Right. He's never been in the ocean. Yeah. But Group Armour, that certainly difference there. Just a little graphic example of the different rig philosophies between 4-spreader and 3-spreader rig. And you've got to say the 3-spreader rig package for Group Armour has done the business, Martin.
Well, it has eventually, but they did lose it, of course, on Group Armour. That was one of the issues. We've been having a laugh about all these different rigs. We were laughing about square rigs and the like, and we've seen a few of those old boats before. Interesting. I mean, I remember at the very start of the race, Pete, looking at Abu Dhabi in Alicante, looking at Abu Dhabi's rig, and we were both commenting on what an incredibly slender stick it is. and they lost theirs 6 hours out.
First leg,
First leg.
down she came. And
I think 6 hours after the start in Alicante. So they had to put, they're only allowed 2 masts, so this is their second, and then of course Pumas went, and then Group Armours on the leg up to Itajaí, and they had to jury rig their way to sail back in and save the points. Amazing achievement.
Well, and it brings up one of those design philosophies, doesn't it, for the boats? What do they run with, a 3 or 4 spreader rig, and the advantages and the compromises of the different rig configurations?
Well, I guess part of the consideration, Jerry, is that you want a rig that's going to stay up, because you can't finish without one.
Yeah, that's true. One of the big sort of developments with this particular race was everyone worked on the windage in the rigs, and that pushed a lot of the parts to the very edge to reduce the windage.
Did you talk to your boy to Rome about the mast failure on Puma Ocean Racing? What was his take on that? Because that was a shocker when that one went.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I had to give him a little pump up and just remind him that the Volvo was about how you recover from setbacks.
But from memory, Jerry, didn't that get attributed to
A fitting
failure? I'm just recalling. I'm sure I heard Kenny say it was more of a fitting failure than an engineering failure.
Yeah, the engineering was spot on. It was just a fitting was made with material that was not to spec, and that fitting failed, and that was the whole show came down.
With a bang, it came down. I remember those extraordinary pictures of the boat floundering in the Atlantic there. Okay, this is Mark III, and this little battle here is really academic, because neither of these boats will score in this race, having Telefonica and Sanya having been over on the course side over the start line at the beginning.
Well, again, Sanya, the only older generation Volvo 70, they just have struggled for speed from Alicante. She's not as fast as the rest of the fleet. And Mike Sanderson has always lived in hope that they'll just get a little golden opportunity, but it's been very few and far between. And even on this short Pro-Am race, you can see that now Telefonica have rolled round Sanya, and I'm sure by the end of the leg they're going to come under the pump from Puma. Puma's coming through, and Camper really probably were out of the game in terms of ability to win this Pro-Am with a poor start.
Not good. Camper, though, showing a good turn of speed coming into this. Is this the final mark?
Yeah, this is it. This is Mark III. So now the boats will reach down to the start-finish line area. This is the last race of the day, Pro-Am. They've had 3 of them. And it really is a great opportunity. It's pretty great, really, that, you know, the VIPs on board can go and sail on a pedigree boat like this. A rare
Jerry, when
opportunity.
you've done these, what kind of, how much have you seen the amateurs enjoy it? What do they comment on?
Oh, they love it. I mean, if you get a condition where the boats really light up and you're fully canted, everyone's happy. But really, you know, someone who hasn't been on these boats, just to go out for any kind of sail, they start to get a sense of, you know, how Spartan and how high performance these things are.
Well, they're the greyhounds of the ocean, the Grand Prix yachts, fastest racing yachts of their kind in the world, and we're seeing them operating for the last time, because of course in the next edition of the Volvo Ocean Race it's going to be a new boat, a modern design, slightly shorter but with very comparable performance. The idea to bring the cost down to get a bigger fleets, and they will sail them with just 8 instead of 10. and that's all part of the cost-saving exercise. But the design package that they've come up with certainly promises, from what I've read, Pete, you would be able to analyse it better than me. They promise to be highly competitive, very fast, and very even boats.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be even, and they will be fast. I mean, they look very similar to these boats. They're a little bit shorter, but from memory, in terms of design numbers or performance, I'm sure in the presentation that was in Lorient, they were only talking like 2.7% slower than these Volvo 70. So in real terms, they're going to be very equal to these boats, and they will be capable of, in the right conditions, of setting up and getting those enormous mileage runs that we've seen from this fleet. And I don't think we'll lose too much in terms of the visual feast that we've had through this edition of the Volvo.
Well, the idea that the racing can be even closer is a mouth-watering prospect, because these boats, even with their fairly wide divergence in speed, we've had some fantastically close finishes, just minutes and seconds apart, which is always amazing when you've been at sea for quite a long time. And Jerry, how much did it used to amaze you that you still get a close finish when you've been at sea for weeks?
Oh, it was always astounding how you could be spread out all over the ocean and then show up at a port and you're eyeball to eyeball with someone you left port 3 weeks prior. It's a great race, and I think this edition was exceptional, and I really believe this new class of boats it's going to be even more so. I mean, one aspect of a Volvo 70 is you spend a lot of time trying to slow it down so you don't blow it apart, and I think the new boats, they'll still be extremely dynamic and fun to watch.
Well, fun to watch is what it's been for these people on Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. They're coming up to the finish, and it's flat water, plenty of breeze to move them along quite nicely. And the guests, well, I think we'll see the traditional cheer at the end. Ian Walker just keeping one hand on one wheel. But it's somebody else, it's a guest, one of the amateurs who's got the honours of taking Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing across the line. Up go the hands, and they have won the third of the Pro-Am races here in Galway Bay. Hot on their heels, as ever, Groupama, showing her amazing speed. Big wave from the AMs. And that's all nice stuff. A bit of applause. And Telefonica will come next, but they won't get a nod because they're actually not in this race. Looking nice, like she always does, though. Boy, she's a quick boat. That's the media crew member, Diego Fructuoso, with the camera in his... now look at the speed of it now. I mean, she's always looked like a rocket ship, eh?
Lovely colours, fast boat as she comes over the line. They will not get any points, but really for the purpose of giving the experience to the VIPs on board, it's probably academic. So the wind has just gradually increased as the day has gone on. We've got Sanya coming down next. We can see they have held Puma off on the little short sprint from Mark III. So it'll be Sanya, Puma, and then Camper down at that leeward end.
If you watch the finish, I think this is going to say Sanya, but we know it won't count. Still savouring the moment for what it is. And at the very top of the frame, there we can see Camper. They actually caught up a little bit. And again, looking the business, that's the Dazzle paintwork on the sails, taken from the First World War. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there because that is the end of the Pro-Am race day here in Galway Bay. And let's just have a quick whiz around with Jerry Kirby. Give us a little bit of a preview tomorrow. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to these guys going as hard as they can to wrap up the inshore points. It'll be the last time we see the Volvo 70s in serious action. So I hope it's a great end to their their time as the greyhounds of the ocean.
Okay, and Pete, I guess the significant point is that the racing is significant.
Oh, definitely significant with, you know, Camper, Puma, Groupama and Abu Dhabi all in with a shout to win the import race. It looks to me, Martin, this is our first view of the race area. I hope the wind's in. If it is, it looks like it'll be relatively flat water for the race tomorrow.
Well, we're all looking forward to the final showdown of the Volvo Ocean Race 2011-2012, the import series up for grabs. Camper and Puma tied on 39 points apiece, with Groupama on 38, Abu Dhabi on 35, so all to fight for. Camper, if they're going to hang on to their podium spot, second overall, they've got to at least finish. So that's pretty vital for them. And we're going to be bringing you all the action. It'll be online on volvooceanrace.com, but we're going to be broadcasting on your regular TV all around the world, on air at 12:45 local for a 1 o'clock start. That's 11:45 UTC and 12 o'clock for the start UTC. That'll be the import series, and which could well cement the top 3 of this edition of the Volvo Ocean Race. We've enjoyed bringing you this action from Galway. We look forward enormously to drawing this series and this fantastic race to a close. So from Galway, we wish you a very good afternoon and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.